Let's give
Put the hat on.
We need to do push-ups here, right?
I was gonna say make Rob drop down and give you 50.
Yeah. So we have sorry, yeah. So we'll get started here. I'll let you. No, yeah. So come on, closer, guys. Here. So appreciate you being here, and we'll get a picture of everyone when it's all done. Pardon me with the mask off, but it's hard to talk here on this. We're actually recording this on Zoom, and we have Mr. Delton Steele, who is the ESGR chairman for North Dakota, and he's out of the Fargo area but lives in Minnesota. We have another person on, Arlen Frederick, who is the co-chair for the Bismarck Committee, which I'm the co-chair as well. And Jeanette Betch, who is our full-time person for the state of North Dakota. So let me just go ahead and start this. I'm going to take this notes here. Okay, so Sergeant Volk, right, E6 type, he put in a request for an award. It's called a Patriot Award. And one of the things that we do with the ESGR employer support, the Guard and Reserve, we recognize we're kind of like a three-legged stool. It's a very solid piece, but you take one of the legs out and it's not very sturdy. So that would mean we have the families, we have the service member, and then we have the employers. Without one of those pieces, it's very hard for that service member like Sergeant Volk here, going off the job, and having that support if it's not there with family, not there with the employer. And that's more, we realize it more in long-term deployments as well too. But I'm saying you did a lot of things for him to help him get, because he drills in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah, that's a long ways down there too. So, but anyway, the National Guard, the ESGR has been around since 1972, so about 45 years. About 3,300 volunteers. I'm retired 26 years from the Army, and I was a public information officer, and I'm giving back by volunteering for this type of duty. But this is one of the very first awards where this award, as a Patriot Award, recognized you as his supervisor. Not so much Bobcat. There are other awards where we recognize the industry as well, but he wanted to recognize you for the services that you rendered for him as well. And so, but it's been around for a long time. We have offices in the major cities in North Dakota, literally around the United States as well too. And one of the things about the ESGR is something called USERA, Uniform Services Equal Rights Employment Act, and that's a Department of Labor program that when any of you military or military, if someone goes off to deployment like the National Guard Reserve or the Marine Corps Reserve, knowing USERA really helps that soldier, that airman, Marine, when they come back, to know that they get their job back. And wasn't always that the case, but now we know when they come back, they're in the same rank, they're not losing any vacation time. A lot of things that help that soldier when they leave to know when they come back, they're come back and they're using the same position. That's why it's really important. North Dakota has a high propensity for military folks to join, and we see that, and with thousands looking at the military in North Dakota as well too. So I want to read this award here. This is what he wrote about. Okay, you ready for this? Okay, we'll see. No. It's this goes all the way up to ESGR committee in Washington D.C. Come back down to us with the actual award. So I'll read this, okay? Because it's very well written, like an engineer. Okay, so imagine that.
I didn't know it was going to go that far, but
All right. Anyway, so Jonathan has been very flexible with my Army schedule for monthly drill weekend, especially considering I live 636 miles away from my duty location in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yes, right, this time there. This requires additional time away from work or travel, either by driving or flying, and typically an additional day off prior to and post-battle assembly or coming back as well. When requesting days off for this burden on himself, the Bobcat company, his response is, "Quote, thank you for your service," and that's very important. It is my belief that there are individuals that, without acknowledgement, without the recognition, choose to unwaver their support for those who serve. Thank you for that as well too. Without their backbone, the Army Reserve could not be as effective. Jonathan is one of those individuals. with his support of myself and the 2nd 377th Regiment, 1st Brigade, 95th Division D Company, Army Reserve, I've been able to take leave from Bobcat and train nearly 400 civilians to soldiers in at least 2 years. And more importantly, as a drill instructor, to take the responsibility to take people, young 18, 19-year-olds, in a short amount of time, turn them into soldiers. That's a phenomenal feat. We have the best military in the world based on folks like this gentleman here. So here's the award. And it's to Jonathan Bobcat, and it says, as a patriotic employer, for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Forces. So I want to have this to you, and then I can shake hands here. Want to shake hands? And so we're going to get this. We're going to get some pictures afterwards as well too. Okay. But any comments?
Well, really, most of the credit's got to go to Jaron. I mean, it's his time, and we're just making it possible. Like he can travel down to the drill, and he can go to Fort Sill and work with his recruits. So really, the credit goes to him. We just made the time possible for him.
It would be for employers like Bobcat who realizes the value. And one of the things I saw there that your break cafe is what's called a statement of support. And it's recognizes that this company is a company that looks at all, we call the 7 SEALs. There's 7 branches of military that have a guard or reserve folks. And so I saw that. So that shows that people come by there and other veterans who come in here know that Bobcat is employee friendly or military friendly company. So thank you for that. And sir, anything from comments?
Well, I don't have anything in addition to what I had written there. Apparently I write better than I speak, so.
You did great, you did great.
So, yeah, but thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
And yours.
you're welcome. You're welcome. It's just give it back, give it back. So I've got the other 2 on the line here. I'll bring it up here. So he's going to say a few things to you as well.
Okay.
I hope you're still on, Delton.
Okay, you're on mute, Delton. So. Yep. There I am. Hopefully I'm off mute, Rob. You hear me?
Okay. Yep.
All right. Good.
Hey, Delton.
Let me just see if I let me see if I can turn this around here. Okay. So go ahead.
Right, good. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And hey, it's great to see all of you. Hopefully my face is coming in okay from where I'm at. But as Rob mentioned, I'm over in Ottertail, Minnesota, and can't always make the drive for these presentations. But wow, nice crowd from Bobcat there this morning. So great to see everyone. So first of all, Jonathan, congratulations for being recognized as the kind of employer that makes the life of your serviceman soldier a lot easier so that he can carry out his military duties. Whether you recognize it or not, you play a huge part in the nation's national defense. Right now, the National Guard and Reserves make up 37% of all military members serving our nation in the national defense. And so that means this is a big deal to make this happen, because as we all know, and as Rob had mentioned, our Guard and Reserve are being asked to do more and more all the time in our nation's defense, whether it's deployment to the capital region, whether it's COVID missions, whether it's southern border, whether you name it, overseas, the war on terror, which is, front and center again, unfortunately for all of us right now, but it makes a big difference. It really is a big deal, the part that you as an employer play, because Staff Sergeant Volk, without that time away for the additional training that's required nowadays, it's just not the weekend. It's just not 2 weeks of training every year. I'm sure he's being called upon more and more, either for deployments or for additional training besides what is the normal duties that are required of him in the Army Reserve. So I want to say thank you to you and Bobcat. It seems to me, and I should have, I'm 98% sure on this, but I think Bobcat just a few years ago was recognized by ESGR and the Department of Defense, I believe, as maybe a Freedom Award winner. And I'll have to check my records, or Jeanette will have to do that. Hopefully I'm not saying something wrong. But either way, I know that Bobcat has a long, long history of supporting their Guard and Reserve employees in serving their military duty. So again, thanks, Jonathan, for what you're doing, and to the Bobcat Company, because I know it's a team effort to make all of this happen. So thank you. And Sergeant Volk, hey, thanks for taking the time to make this nomination. You're a busy guy holding down a day job and then driving on weekends or whenever you've got to go to Lincoln to do your duty. And
Yeah, but thank you.
yeah, but you know what? It takes time to go in and fill out a form, another form, which you probably don't think you should fill out, but it makes all the difference in the world, really, when you do this. And this is what really, when you have service members and employers that are engaged in this fashion, it just makes things really click really well. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Number one, for your service. And if I had to have a drill sergeant, which I never had, but if I had to have one, I wish it would be you, because you look pretty darn impressive there in that uniform. And I'm sure I would do as many push-ups as you would order me to do. But anyway, just congratulations and thank you again for what you're doing. So as Rob said, just a little ESGR 101, just real quickly, and I'll turn it over back to Rob and Arlen. But yeah, we've been around since 1972. So we are a part of the Department of Defense. We are volunteers. So Rob's coming out there today. Arlen's on. Jeanette's my only paid staffer that I get in the whole state. And the rest of us are volunteers. We have about 60 volunteers in the state of North Dakota. And it's a real honor for me to serve. And you might recognize this little badge here, but we all wear this with pride. That's the Department of Defense emblem. And we are ESGR. We are a program of the Department of Defense. So all of us have to be approved by the DOD to serve in these positions. And so we think we're a good investment for our country because we are volunteers, but we do it because we think it's very important for our national defense and the support of our service members to have employers like Bobcat and you, Jonathan, are doing what you're doing and to recognize it. And we're very fortunate in North Dakota to have very patriotic employers, and we couldn't be prouder to serve along with all of you. And so Rob mentioned that three-legged stool. We kind of like to think the part that ESGR plays is that top portion where you sit on that three-legged stool. But as he said, employers, service members, service member families all make that stool work together. And we think we play an important part in helping to keep that stool together. So with that, thanks again to both of you for what you're doing, and I hope everything's going well out in Bobcatville and Bismarck today. Love those machines, and a couple of them in the neighborhood here where I'm at, and just great to see. And it's fun to be able to recognize employers and the service members who make those nominations. So with that, Rob, I'll turn it back to you. But thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody at Bobcat.
Arlen, are you on, Arlen? You want to say a few words? You're on, Arlen?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, thanks, Bobcat. You've had a long history with military members that work for Bobcat over the years, and it can please continue to support, and thanks again.
And I will tell you from Bobcat, when the units first deployed from the North Dakota National Guard into Iraq, we had at least 3 or 4 Bobcats that were sent into combat, painted green and all that stuff. And I don't know where they're at. Would be nice if we could get some of those, bring them back here on display as part of the museum piece too. But I got to tell you, I love the staff sergeant's voice because he has a drill sergeant voice. And I don't think that voice is going to be one you forget if you're a young soldier going through that, especially waking up in the morning. And just gives me chills thinking about my basic training in the Air Force, not the Army. So anyway, so I just want to thank all of you folks here as well too, and your commitment to this as well, because in addition to him leaving, you're all partners that sometimes have to take up this little slack that that happens as well too. So, but anyway, thanks again, guys. I appreciate being out here and taking part of this ceremony. So. All right, I'm out here, and so we're going to close it out, guys. And thanks, Dalton. We appreciate it.
You bet, Rob. Thank you. And Arlen, good to see you. Jeanette, as always, thank you for everything. Have a great day, everyone.